Hello, welcome back to another speed build. Today's speed build is for the sim that I did a Rags to Riches challenge for. Her name is Alanna Cummings, and she is married to Candy Behr, who was a townie from Windingburg. Her and sister Yuki lived in Waterlot Redoubt, but Alanna, when she started out in Newcrest, she started out with nothing and she became friends with Yuki and then Candy. Then she and Candy began dating and they got married. Candy had a daughter from a previous relationship, and then after they got married, the two of them adopted another little girl. So now the two girls are teens, and Alanna and Candy are anticipating having an empty nest very soon, and they decided they wanted to size down, go from living in this large 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom house and move into a much smaller home. So they wanted to be able to save up for the girls' further education if they wanted to go to college, and also just size down already because once the girls were gone, they would have no reason to have such a big house. So originally, I had started out wanting to change the build that they were in from the large home into a small home, but I decided that was way too much work. I really didn't want to do that. So instead, I decided to move them into a small home that I already had built and just furnish it with the furniture that they already had, the decorations that they already had. So that's what I'm doing in this part of the speed build. So I've already moved the household onto this lot, and you can see I'm changing the colors of the walls and taking their furnishings. I had them keep their furniture when I moved the family. And so they're taking their furnishings and I'm deleting the stuff out of their household inventory that they're not going to use, and then putting in the stuff that they will be using. So this lot here, I believe it's 20 by 15. So it's not a large lot, but they do have a back porch. And at some point, I did put a roof over the back porch. Originally, they didn't have a roof over it. So I put a roof over the back porch, and you can see I deleted the floor that was automatically put um, in underneath the fence in the backyard because those tiles counted towards the 100 tile maximum for a small home. And of course, I didn't want to go over that maximum. I wanted them to have the perks of living in a small home, the smaller bills and the mood buff things and all of that good stuff. So this is when I put the roof over the backyard, and I did have to lower it enough so that they can still see out the back windows. I put solar roof shingles on to help save in the bills instead of putting solar panels on the ground, because the solar panels on the ground, they actually take a lot of maintenance. You have to clean them, you have to repair them, unless of course you have a high enough handiness skill to make them unbreakable and self-cleaning. And I believe Alanna does, but I didn't want to bother with that because they don't have much yard to begin with. I didn't want to take it up with solar panels. So I just used terrain paint to make the back patio tiled, and that's where Alanna and Candy have their DJ station, because Alanna has also been working on her DJ skills. I think I've got her up to level 6 now. And their second daughter, Cassandra, is also starting to work on her DJing skills. Cassandra is the one that they adopted together. Kaylee is Candy's daughter from a previous relationship. And unfortunately, Kaylee's dad just died. We got the notification. I've been doing a lot of gameplay with them ever since I moved them into this house a few days ago. And I got the notification, I think, while I was playing yesterday, that he had died. So, of course, Kaylee was sad for a while, because that was her dad. Didn't affect Candy because Candy didn't have any kind of relationship with him at all. Um, but because they're living in a tiny home, then the sadness buff didn't last as long. On other lots, the sadness buff would last, I think, for like 2 days. And, if it's a parent, an immediate family member, I think the sadness buff lasts for 2 days, maybe 3 days. But here it might have lasted 24 hours tops. And then she just went on with her life. So I'm not sure if that's because of the mood perks that you get from living in a small home, or if that's just because she wasn't close to her dad. So, most of what I did with the house, I didn't change the layout of the house at all from what I had. I had already built it to have the loft upstairs, and the two bedrooms downstairs. And I was actually very happy that it seemed like a realistic setting to put the four of them into. They still have plenty of room to move around in. Elena still has her gardening, though now she doesn't have a greenhouse, and she really doesn't need one because she is an author primarily. She doesn't have a job. She's not even a freelancer. She mainly lives off of the royalties from her books. Candy works as a musician. I think she's up to serious musician status, and she has piano level 9, almost 10. So she's now to the point where she can write and license songs. So she's already licensed two, and she makes something like 1,400 simoleons a day at her musician job, and she only works like 4 days a week or something like that. And Elena doesn't really need to garden like she did before. Before, she was gardening in order to make money to survive, and now she doesn't have to do that. So, I was able to move the gardening to be an entirely outside thing, and I didn't have to use up space on the lot to make a greenhouse. If you hear any noise in the background, it's because I have very loud neighbors who like to have a lot of company, and their door sounds like the crypt keeper opening and closing. So any weird noises you hear in the background, it's them. Some people aren't very good at sharing living space with other folks, but I digress. Anyhow, so here I'm taking the girls' personal effects and I'm putting them in their room. Cassandra's room is this one with the purple bed, and Kaylee's room is the other one with the red bed. Kaylee actually aged up to young adult earlier today while I was doing some gameplay before I started recording. She aged up to young adult, and for the first time in my own gameplay, I'm actually going to send the child of one of my Sims out into the world as a non-playable character to see what they do, what the game has them do on their own in terms of career development. I put her in the conservationist career because I played her to develop an interest in archaeology, and she took a couple of trips to Selva Dorada with her moms and got really interested in archaeology. And I think through reading, she's gotten up to, I believe, archaeology level 3. And so the idea is she's gotten very interested in the environment and she wants to work towards conservation efforts. So after her birthday party and she aged up, then I had her get a job as a conservationist. And then the next day, she hung around until her sister went to school because, Cassandra wasn't happy about the idea of her sister moving out. And, she's still, I think Cassandra is halfway through her teens. So, she was definitely the younger sister, very attached to her big sister, didn't want to see her go. So after Cassandra left for school, then Kaylee left for her job and to move into her own place. So I'm really excited to see what the game has Kaylee do in terms of her career and relationships and where she ends up living and stuff. I didn't just put her not only in World, I stuck her in other households. And I'm going to do the same thing with Cassidy when she ages up. So I'm pretty much at the end of this build now. Here are the interior shots. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I did to modify this home to fit this household. I'll probably at some point stream some of the gameplay so that you all, if you follow me over on Twitch, I'm wlotus underscore every day. The link will be down below. If you follow me over there, then you'll get to see the stream and you'll get to see what the household is up to now that Kaylee is grown and out on her own. So, loud neighbors notwithstanding, I hope you enjoyed watching this speed build. And keep your eyes peeled for more. I will be back. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.